Hello, my friends. Hello, welcome in to Guardians Daily. Appreciate you taking the time on this Friday. Well, I don't know what time you're watching it. Could be Friday morning, could be Friday afternoon. You could even watch it anytime over the weekend. But I'm filming. It's Friday. We got a nice series tie. Nice tie. Nice tie. Like how I'm your mother. Nice tie. Um, Very good performance from your Cleveland Guardians yesterday. Slade Ciccone on the mound needed it. Needed a bounce back start, and he got it in a big way. Like that was what you were looking for from Slade, really this season in general. It's been a struggle. He had one of the worst ERAs in baseball. Obviously, ERA is not always with all these advanced stats and everything like that. There's other things to look at with some of these pitchers, but his advanced metrics haven't been great either. So really had been a struggle for Ciccone so far. But he needed that yesterday. This Royals lineup had really done a nice job against the Guardians pitching early in the series. They gave up. They had a good guy against Gavin. They did nice things against Tanner as well. So the kind of the back end guy, the guys later in the rotation, like Joey Cantillo and Slade Ciccone, really stepped up, getting this series split. You don't want to lose. Especially like losing a series to the Royals right now. They're red hot. This division, like we talked about yesterday, everyone's jumbled there at the top. So it's a tight race. Obviously, so early in the season, does it really matter who's in first, who's in third, and the gap's that slim? No, but it's nice to be in first, and they are right now. So that is where things stand right now for your Cleveland Guardians. Offense, big time yesterday. 8 runs scored for your Cleveland Guardians. Petey Halpin out there wreaking havoc. Get that guy on base, and he just causes problems. Stole a base yesterday, scored on a pass ball, wild pitch, whatever you want to call it. Like, just causes havoc out there. He plays a great center field. I think they were saying on the broadcast yesterday, if Petey Halpin's going to be playing, he's going to be playing in center. So he's been a nice piece of juice for this lineup. Obviously, he's not the biggest, obviously not much of a power threat and not much of a threat at the plate in general, but he can swing. He can handle himself up there, which is what you're looking for from a speed guy and a defensive guy who's going to especially come in handy in those late innings, since we do have so many guys who are more utility players in terms of not having a true position. He can go out there and be your true outfielder in a late inning game when you just need defense. And he's not losing anything really at the plate with how much this lineup's been producing anyway, really. So that's been good. Obviously, Slade Ciccone, like we talked about, much needed for him. Went 6 innings, almost got through 6 yesterday, but really good. Again, kind of what I worry about with Slade. If he gets through that first inning, he's money 2 through 4. You just can't overextend him right now. And that's been the problem for him. He's had a couple starts where he's really not been bad, and then just kind of hung in the game a little too long, and then you've seen the struggles come in for him. But for Slade generally, if he can get through that first inning with some comfort, obviously yesterday there was a lot of traffic in that first inning. Excuse me, I had to sneeze there for the pause. Yeah, a lot of traffic in that first inning. Thankfully, he was pitching with the lead early, thanks to Kyle Manzardo. Big 2-run double, hit one right into the gap. Schneemann then got an RBI hit. So you got the lead early. You're up 3-0. You should have some wiggle room. But then the bases are juiced right there in the first inning. You're thinking, man, is Slade just going to do this again? Just get rocked in the first, and we have to battle and just give away this lead? Nope. He got out of it, got a grounder to the first baseman, and then kind of settled in nicely from there. So there was a lot to like from Slade yesterday, just in terms of you showed a little bit of guts and grit, and then he's not going to roll over in terms of giving up his spot in this rotation just yet, at least. Obviously, jury's still out on what he's going to be and what his season's really going to end up looking like. You were not even in June yet. We're in early May. There's so much baseball to be played. He could still turn this into a really good year for him. You know what I mean? Like, he's shown the stuff, and it's similar to last year. Maybe he's just not a good early season pitcher. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's just going to be a trend. Like Carlos Santana couldn't hit in April, couldn't hit in May. Great baseball player. Been in the league for 30 years, feels like. One of my all-time favorites, if not my all-time favorite, but he was always a struggle early in seasons. Obviously, pitcher versus hitter, there's a big difference there. But sometimes it does just take guys a while to get into the swing of things, to get into the meh of a full MLB season and really get their rhythm going. So maybe that's what it is with Slade, because we saw it last year, but he was great down the stretch. So hopefully that is the way things turn for him. Another guy we want to give credit for, and hopefully things are turning around for him as well. Much needed yesterday. Bo Naylor, 3-run homer in the top of the seventh. Big insurance run, especially because Kansas City came fighting right back after that. Because in the bottom of the seventh, then Bobby Witt, pure home run to right center. That was a great opposite field swing. That guy is a stud, obviously. And Vinny Pasquantino, their power hitting first baseman. They went back to back right after this 3-run shot from Bo. So the insurance runs, that's why they call them insurance runs. You need them. You need that coverage. Give your bullpen some room to work with because Connor Brogdon got rocked in that seventh inning. And that's what you need, really. Like, you need to give that's what's kind of been the struggle over this little stretch where they were struggling, especially when they lost 6 out of 8. They were getting some runs early, not pulling away like they need to, especially when the bullpen is not as good as it's been in years past. Obviously, Sobrowski we like. Cade Smith's been really good lately. Hopefully that continues. I think Gaddis is coming back to what he used to be. It's just going to take some time with him coming off the injury. And then you're kind of figuring it out with guys like Armstrong, uh, Paulette. Like, these are kind of new guys. Obviously, Brogdon's been getting a lot of work, even though I'm not the biggest Brogdon fan. I'll be honest. But so these new guys coming into the fold in the bullpen, compared to years past, where you kind of knew who your guys were. Obviously, you still have Heron out there as well. But now that they're trying to figure out kind of who the new arms are going to be for them, you need to get these insurance runs and take a little bit of pressure off these guys who are going to be pitching in these late inning situations. It's what they did yesterday, and that's what Bo Naylor did with that 3-run homer. So credit to Bo. Obviously, a lot of struggles for Bo this year at the plate. One of the worst hitters in the game so far this year. Obviously, he's a catcher, so the expectations are a little lower, but still, he's got to give you something, at the plate. Like, you can't just be a total zero, especially when Hedges has been doing a really good job actually hitting as well, not just the fact that Hedges is one of the best defensive catchers in all of baseball, realistically, and in terms of what he does working with the pitching staff. And I think, from all accounts, from what we've heard, Bo also does a really good job. And obviously, I don't think he gets the credit he may deserve based on the fact Hedges has that reputation as the pitching guru and works with the staff and all this stuff and like really good for young pitchers, which he is. But Bo, I think, also does a really good job and doesn't get the credit for it. And like, this is one of those things. Like, does this Bo Naylor home run does this buy him time? Obviously Cooper Ingle down in AAA has been hitting the cover off the ball. He's a guy who's been talked about a lot. Is there a move coming? Catching such a different position than any other in baseball in terms of like what your expectations are in the field throughout the game, in terms of what he has to do working with the staff and things like that, is like another young catcher, because his bat is supposed to be an upside. Is it worth bringing him into the fold? You have to work him in. And if you're gonna bring him up, you gotta play him, is kind of my thing with Engel. Like, you can't bring him up and have him playing twice a week. Then what does that do for anyone in terms of productivity or starting to learn the pitching staff? You kind of have to just throw him to the wolves if you're gonna do it. And I don't know if they're ready to do that in terms of this pitching staff or in terms of him at the plate as a hitter yet. So, Bo Naylor, you hit your home run. You bought yourself some time and gives a little bit of grace to that situation. I need to see more. Like, we saw it because Bo's a capable hitter in terms of, we saw it at the end of last season. That last month and a half of the season last year, I mean, he was hitting in the 5 spot. He was an RBI guy, one of the best clutch hitters on that team. He was good in the playoffs as well. I mean, you saw what it can be and what he can be as a threat and what kind of depth that gives to this lineup if Bo is hitting. You know what I mean? Like, it changes the complexity of this lineup when that's not just a blank hole. Because that's what it's been so far this year for Naylor. So I don't know what you deal with in terms of any move being made for Naylor getting hit. I mean, like, if Engel comes up, I feel like you almost have to make a move with Bo, because then you're not, because like with Fry being able to catch as well, you don't need 4 guys who can catch, and Hedges is locked in salary wise and just what he means to this team. So that'll be interesting. But we've seen what Bo Naylor can do, obviously, like I just said, last season. So hopefully this is a sign of things to come for Bo. Like, you kind of get on one of those. All it takes is a little 2-week stretch, and then your average comes up, your stats look better, your confidence at the plate can change the whole thing. So let's keep an eye on Bo Naylor going forward. maybe a sign of things to come. He almost hit one out in against the A's last weekend as well. That like off the bat you thought was a no doubter, just kind of died at the wall, but it was smoked. So maybe he's starting to find something, or maybe not. And he's just going to continue to be a below average hitter like he's been throughout his career. Also an option. Also probably the favorite, but we'll see. But honestly, it's gonna be nice. We're coming home. We take on the Minnesota Twins this weekend. Much needed for your Cleveland Guardians. Twins are much better than people expected. They sold everybody last trade deadline, last summer. Not high expectations for the Minnesota Twins, but they've been pretty good. They're right in the mix in the AL Central. So take them on this weekend. There's still some guys there that you're familiar with, but realistically, this is a different. Obviously, Byron Buxton's still the face of that team, but it's a different group, and it's really just odd. I mean, it's crazy how quickly they went from right at the top of the mix at the AL Central to what they were last season. And now they've had a good start to the year this year, so I'm not saying anything about that. More is how quickly they dumped everybody. I mean, they had a loaded roster, it felt like, not long, like 2023, 2022. Like, it was not too long ago. And they kind of just cleaned house. Obviously, Rocco Baldelli gone, and new manager there. So, like, a lot of changes for this team now, but they've been off to a pretty good start. So now you got to have your guard up this weekend. Literally, guard up. I don't know if I've ever said that one before. But gotta be on full awareness of what this Twins team's been able to do this season. So you got Parker Messick on the mound Friday, and then you turn it back to Tanner Saturday. It's gonna be you need it. You need to get two this weekend, especially coming off. You're winning two in a row. You win one tonight. This starts to turn into a little streak. You go through a nice. You got a sweep this weekend. You get 5 in a row. You start to create some distance. Start to really feel good about your team going forward. Obviously, you have a home series against the Reds next weekend as well. A lot to like in Cleveland right now with this team. Just gotta keep your foot on the gas. We know we've seen DeLauter. DeLauter's been heating back up. It's there. Bazana's here to stay. He's gonna find his spot in this lineup. He had another nice day yesterday. He's starting to look more comfortable. There's a lot to like right now with this Guardians team. Obviously, Jose kind of cooled off a little bit, but you know how Jose's seasons tend to be. He's gonna have his little dips, but when he gets hot, you really can't get him out. And he's still been walking a ton, too, even though his hits have gone down a little bit. And then also, Manzardo's looked much better this last week or so, week and a half. So maybe I think that's something. I mean, that's what you really need for this Guardians lineup right now. Same with Rhys Hoskins. Both those guys starting to really not like light it up by any means, but you can see the sparks and the flashes. Hoskins had a home run, Manzardo home run, Manzardo double, Hoskins double. Starting to slug a little bit from those two guys. And hey, it doesn't have to be Barry Bonds. It's not like the expectations aren't that high for what you're going to get out of that cleanup spot anyway. And they still weren't meeting them. Like it was that bad in the 4-5 spot, whatever. They can give them both to those spots to the righties, to the first baseman. Throw Fry in there with them as well. But starting to come around. All three of them went deep within the last week. Sign of things to come, considering they hadn't gone deep in a while, any of the three. So much needed improvement there. So, and when you look at that lineup, that has been the glaring spot. So if you can just pick one. I mean, but even actually, it's better the fact that they're all kind of starting to come at the same time. Pause. But like they're all starting to get together, find that rhythm between Fry, Manzardo, Hoskins, that combo. Just pretty much throw their stats in a bowl and mix them up because that's what they're all the same player at a certain point for what you're getting productivity wise. So figure it out, one of you, and then just kind of pick and choose based on the righty lefty matchup what they're going to do with those three. So heading into the weekend, let's get 2 out of 3 at least. This is a Twins team. I know they're playing okay baseball right now, but there's the talent gap is there right now. The Cleveland Guardians should be able to get 2 out of 3. You have a good spot in your rotation. Messick's been really good, and you start with him. Tanner Bibee obviously been a struggle, and then you right back to Gav on Sunday. So the stuff is there. The makeup's there for a nice series at home. Ballpark's going to be juiced. Weather's supposed to be pretty okay. Saturday's going to be a big one downtown. Obviously, the Cavs. I don't even know if anyone's expectations there are down after they blew one last night as well. Pretty much played two identical games in a row. Harden, we'll save it for a different show, a different sport. But it's been bad. But that's going to be downtown Saturday. Zach Bryan concert downtown Saturday. So Saturday going to be a big one for the Guardians. Going to be a lot of juice in downtown Cleveland. And then let's try and pick a home run guy for this weekend. You know what? Home run this weekend. He hasn't hit one yet. He's only been up here a couple weeks. Travis Bazzana. I think he gets his first big league shot this weekend. Travis Bazzana, home run against the Minnesota Twins. And let's go win a series at home for your Guardians. Appreciate it. We'll be back on Monday. We'll recap it all, cover what happened this weekend. Hopefully, we have some good things to talk about. Until then, I'll see ya. Go Guardians.